A lot of times when you see somebody who's very successful, you haven't seen all the time and energy it took to get to where they're at. A lot of people know Scott as a high performance loan officer, but they don't realize how much time and energy it took to get there. In this conversation, you learn about Scott as the mortgage person, his history, his relationship with his mom, and his relationship with his kids. And I think all of that goes into making Scott the high performing mortgage lender that he is. Check out this conversation. Welcome to the show. Today we got my good buddy, the door kicker, Scott Forte. I'll tell you a funny story. When we both moved to town around the same time, and a buddy of mine who was working for a mortgage company that you were with in the past, he's like, man, you need to know this Scott Forte guy. He kicks the door down for business. And I think that's like the perfect description of Scott Forte. He literally will kick the door down to get some.
Let's break that down. What does that mean?
Yeah. So let's tell people let people know about Scott Forte. I think people know you as the sales guy, as the mortgage loan officer, but there's a lot more to Scott Forte than people know. I like to start with you talking about your family, because I know how important it is, your family is to you. So tell us about you and about your family.
So I guess I'll start from the beginning. When I was a little kid, family-wise, I was raised in a commission-only household. My mom and dad were Tupperware distributors, so they were for 25 years. They sold Tupperware. My mom was the rainmaker. I'm exactly like my mom. She put me to work in a warehouse packing Tupperware. I think I was about 7 years old. I started punching a card. I had a time card that I would go in and punch, for make about. I think I was making like $5 an hour, whatever minimum wage was.
Yeah,
I'd save the money up, go buy baseball cards and all that. But she taught me the value of $1 at a young age, and work hard and manage your money. I was in charge of working the M&M candy machine, and we'd go to Sam's and refill it, and I'd eat all the profit. She's like, you can't be eating all your profit, and I was like, yeah, it's just a couple M&Ms, it's not bad, but so
that's a huge lesson in business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, but she was always working, I remember, and back in this is like the 80s, 90s, no cell phone, but she would work from the house. She had a phone at her desk in our house, and I remember my dad getting mad at her for working too much, but she built it. I mean, she was top producer a lot, won all these trips, and my dad didn't fly, so she would bring me on these trips.
Well,
so I went to Hawaii with her when I was 13. That was cool.
Nice.
Great trip, but yeah. So I just, I've never had a salary job, but just always been commission only. I knew I was going to go into sales if baseball didn't work out. I played baseball in college, and I was trying to make it to the next level, but that never, worked out. But so I went into sales. I was got into mortgage at a young age, 22 years old.
Wow.
And over in Dallas, Texas, I finished up my last year of baseball over there at UT Dallas, and did it for 6 months, made good money. Mom and dad didn't realize how good of money I was making until they got my W-2. Yeah. I said, I could pay my truck note and my apartment if you want me to. They're like, oh, no, honey, you just do you. So, I went back to school, finished up at LSU, and then 03, and then got back into mortgage in 04, and been doing it ever since. So, yeah. But
what brought you in that direction from baseball into mortgage?
I met a guy at a bar one night. And
that's how that story
I was gonna say, this is how good stories start. Yeah. Let's go.
So we were at this Pete's dueling piano bar in Dallas, Texas, Howl at the Moon or something, and I was up there with a buddy, and I saw a guy getting a drink at the bar, and he had a nice watch on. It was a Breitling watch.
Okay.
And I was like, man, that's a cool watch. I'd never seen a nice watch like that, and I was like, I want to get a watch like that one day. And anyway, so we struck up a conversation, and he said, I'll pay for your drinks all night as long as you drink Captain Morgan or Amstel Light. And I was like, I don't know what either one of those are, but is it beer? I'll take Amstel Light, So that was a Saturday night. He gave me his card. He said, give me a call Monday morning. I'll give you a job and hire you. So I was like, called him up. I didn't know what it was. Card was like Data Trace or something. I didn't know what it was doing. So I showed up at the interview, and it was less than 5 minutes. He walks out, comes back in. He's like, all right, you're hired. And I was like, what am I doing? He's like, you're going to be selling mortgages. And I said, what's a mortgage? No idea. So I'm 22. He's like, you're going to be selling
Wait,
home
what
loans.
year was this again?
2002.
Makes sense. Keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like, don't worry about it. You're going to be great. I'm going to give you a script to read from.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be calling, these people are going to be calling on direct mail marketing that we send out.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing FHA, true streamline refinances.
Okay.
So we're basically transferring their current FHA loan to I think it was Principal Residential, which is their new servicing lender, dropping their rate.
Yep.
Easy.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, started hitting my stride, kind of customizing my own way of doing things. Learned I was good at talking on the phone, building rapport with them, establishing rapport and trust and all that. And I was making like $5 to $7 grand a month. When I was 22 years old, I was like,
It's a big
this
deal.
is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you took some licks on the first couple of phone calls and you kind of figured it out quickly and you were like learning from your own mistakes, or did they have a training program that put you through?
Yeah. I really,
Sounds
really
like you
just-
stepped into a program.
yeah, just answering questions. The knowledge wasn't there in the beginning, but I would just, I'd stick to the script.
Yeah.
As long as you stick to the script, and we had like a list of rebuttals,
Yep.
how to handle objections, that were common questions. I kind of learned on the job
Yeah.
as I went, but I would always, heard things. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So
Yep.
if you say something with confidence and you don't really know, sometimes that's okay.
Sure.
But you're delivering a good product, and I'd usually come back and address any questions that I didn't know the answer to.
Yeah.
That's a key. Having the confidence to tell people, I think I know the answer. I'm going to go get the right one and then come back to you, and I'll give you the true answer, whether it's the one I thought it was or the actual right answer.
Right.
But
That's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I've trained a lot of attorneys to do. People respect that a lot whenever you have the confidence to say, I think you know the answer, but I'm going to go ask my boss to get it before I make sure, before I
Right.
tell you. And people can understand when you're genuine and you have the confidence to be able to say that.
Right.
So I think that's a big deal.
Shoot them straight. That's
Yeah.
what I always said. Shoot
Yeah.
'em straight.
So in 2002, you started doing that. You went back to school, finished up. Then you started in 2004. That was right around. That was whenever it was rolling, right? I mean, like
Right.
people were. You could do a loan in 45
Well,
minutes.
subprime.
Yep.
So I worked at a company for about 10 months. It was a big subprime lender. We had about 110 loan officers, I think, in one building, 4 marketing lines. We do direct mail marketing campaigns. They
I'm sure
call
you
it a
guys were
piece of-
slinging mortgages.
Oh yeah, it was a Wild West.
Yep.
I could write a book on that place.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, without getting any detail, it was literally like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it was insane. Like I had a college degree, from LSU, and I think maybe me and 2-3 other people in there had college degrees.
Right.
You didn't have to be licensed back then. Regulations, there were none really.
Yeah, that was the day of, like, if you could Fargo mirror, you could get a
Exactly.
loan.
Yeah.
So Wild
Yep.
Wild West sounds very, very true.
Yeah.
No sheriff in
If
town.
you had a heartbeat and a social, we could get you loan approved.
Yeah. And so there's something to be said about, volume though. You learned a lot. You put in a lot of
Yeah.
reps.
Yeah, I mean, it's didn't know anything about there being another side, like with better mortgage companies doing better programs and rates. I was just,
Sure.
guy I played baseball always said, "Hey, you'd be good at this. Come do it.
Yep.
You can make money." So they gave me an interview, or they never called me back. I called him like 10 times. I remember I kept on calling him.
Yeah.
He's like, "You got to be the squeaky wheel to
Kicking
get
down
some
that
grease."
door.
So I kept on calling and calling. I was like, "Hey man, this is Scott again. Just want to see if I can come in." And he's like, "Man, you're pretty persistent. So you can come in, I'll give you an interview." So I was like, "All right." So I come in and he hired me, and I was back in it, doing it again, and top producer several months. You get this trophy to put at the top of your cubicle, the top dog trophy.
Yeah.
You get to get the clout for the month. But yeah, that was a learning curve, and they also instilled rapport building and trust and all that, because you're selling high interest rates to people that couldn't get approved anywhere else, right? So you gotta. But I could go on. That'd be like a whole segment. I could talk about stuff we did then. But
Yeah. So to transition, I mean, I think what was it, 2008, where things shifted for you and you moved over to the other side?
Yeah. So, 07, I was with 3 different mortgage companies that went under within 6 months.
Yeah.
That was when the implosion started.
Yep.
The implodometer on the computer, if you ever remember seeing that, some people. But
Yeah. Systems started fracturing and
Yeah.
businesses started going under.
well, the
all that.
2-year arm adjustable,
All those things.
they were coming due, and they were
Yep.
just going up. So people were upside down, values were inflated. So I got out of it for a little bit, and then went to sell like Caterpillar Louisiana Machinery. I worked over there doing equipment sales, and didn't like that. And then
Very different commodity.
yeah, totally different. Got out of that, went back, took a leap of faith, and got back into it with my last company out of Baton Rouge, 2008, and stuck with them 13 years, and Had the opportunity to open up a branch over in Mandeville. So we left Baton Rouge to move to the North Shore because my wife is from here and we want to start our family over here.
Yeah.
So it just made more sense. And we had a lot more support with her mom. And I bought in with USIS Mortgage in February 21. And it's been great ever since, part owner, producing branch manager. But I got 3 kids. I got a 6.5, 4.5, 2.5. My younger 2 are boys. My wife is Jade Forte. And
I like telling people we're on the same schedule.
Yeah.
Like me and Scott got married 1 day apart, didn't know each other. Our kids are like 3 months apart, all of them. His oldest daughter and my daughter are a couple weeks apart. Our second are a couple weeks apart, and our third are literally a couple weeks apart.
So what's next on the schedule, you guys?
It was in the air. Yeah. A lot of similarities there, but But yeah, that's where I'm at. We're loving living where we are in the North Shore, and it's a great family environment.
Yeah. So what has kept you in the mortgage business for so long? I mean, I think that it says a lot for somebody to have been doing this for such a long period of time. But not only that, you've done it at a high level for such a long time. I mean, when I walked in to the office in Baton Rouge where we first met, you got a plaque on the wall and it's got your name as the top producer year over year over year, and then you're able to do that again where you're at now. I think you're the number 1 producing loan officer at USIS Mortgage right now, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, what do you attribute that consistency to?
Honestly, I'm for one, I'm competitive. I'm very competitive. My mom always taught me, focus on helping people and the money will come. Don't do the opposite.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Because if you're always worried about money, you're never gonna truly be a resource for somebody to help them to get to where they want to be. Yeah. So for me, it's just the satisfaction of getting them, whether it be a first-time home buyer. We love first-time home buyers. That's always exciting. I still get fired up for people. Their first house, and then repeat buyers. Just kind of being available anytime they need something. We've got a team that pretty much is very responsive. They can get answers quick if they have concerns. They can call, text, email us. We respond very quick. But yeah, it's I think just that drive keeping me the competitiveness and wanting to keep doing good, making a difference, for people.
Before we transition to the next segment, I think it's important also to talk a little bit about the team that you have and the system that you follow, because I don't think you wouldn't be able to do the volume that you have without having the process, right? And we've had this conversation a bunch of times, and there's the model that loan officers will go and hire a bunch of other loan officers under them, and they spend all their time mentoring or training or coaching or just dealing with the BS of having junior salespeople to manage. But at a certain point in your life, I think it clicked that if you just have a couple of really solid admin to support Scott Forte, you can run as fast as you need to run. Mm-hmm. And I know that you're not hand-holding every file all the way through to the end. There's no way you have the bandwidth to do that. So how have you structured your team in order for you to continue to be consistent?
Yeah, so it's really simple. We separate it. You have sales and you have fulfillment, right? So I'm sales, obviously. So my job is to make the phone ring, cultivate relationships with our referral partners, find new ones, be out there. The more I'm out there, the more I'm making contact. I'm plugging into people. It's like you're plugging into human internets, right? Each person. And so I'm focused on my job. I'm terrible at fulfillment. Like I suck at it. Mm-hmm. Like I used to do it all, back when I was just a single loan officer. But it would pain me to do all that, like the, cash flow and tax returns. And
that's very common though of entrepreneur salespeople is we're really great rainmakers.
Yeah.
But go put us into the operational side of the paperwork. It is like nails on the chalkboard, right? Yeah. But that is also, it's the difference between, an anchor that keeps you or a propeller that propels you, right? And it's figuring those things out. So many people don't realize, and they kind of force themselves to do both, but they're really stifling one or the other. Yeah.
You're stunting your growth is what you're doing.
Exactly.
So if you've got, growing up, I remember hearing teachers say, you want to focus on your weaknesses, practice, on those. I'm like, it's really the opposite. You want to focus on your strengths and the
leverage your weaknesses.
Yeah. And then you have other, different personalities that are like my loan partner, Charles, and my processor, Jennifer. They are awesome, super detail oriented. They fulfill it to the T. You know, they're machines. And like for me I could never sit there and do that all day.
No.
And like I'm, you know, envious of them and how they're able to do that with their brain. And but then that's what makes it work, you know, because everybody we have people take a DISC assessment or a culture index, you know, which most companies probably do now, to see what they are, you know. So that's
so
how,
they're the right fit. So you don't have someone who should be doing more
Correct.
rainmaking, but they're doing fulfillment. You want the right type of person in the right seat.
Yeah, I think, those two people, and we've worked with them on hundreds of deals. They're incredible. I mean, like Jennifer is incredible. Charles is kind of getting it, but I mean, he's only been with you for a couple of months, and it's already clear that he is too. And so, you know, me and you are very similar in the sense that I am envious of my partners and the people that I have employed that can sit there all day and do that. And I think that they feel similarly towards me and you, that they appreciate the fact that we're able to go out there and make things happen for them, so that they can sit there and do what they do so well.
Let's be very clear. It's not envy. It is appreciation, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to do what the hell they're doing. It's gratitude. It's not like I want to change places with like envy, like, oh, I want that. No, it's like, I'm thankful that exists. I'm thankful people exist that can handle that task, because I would not want to do that task.